At the allotment, my plot is number 35B. The other half, 35A, that's Jonathan. Now, Jonathan doesn't like cutting the grass because he's only got a limited amount of time to be at the allotment, and he resents spending any of it cutting the grass. Now, I don't mind cutting the grass at the allotment because it's amongst the regulations, and it will tend to be one of the first things that I do because it takes a certain amount of time and I'll know it's done, and then I can forget about it for a week or two. But at home here in the back garden, I've got the same attitude as Jonathan. I resent cutting this lawn, and the reason is I live in a share house with a landlord, and the landlord owns several properties, and he employs a gardener to come around and cut the lawn, but the gardener never comes around here. I think it's either because I quite often have junk on the lawn, or it's because it's generally expected that I'll be cutting the lawn anyway. The thing is, when I cut this lawn, I do the same thing as I do at the allotment. I do it on my hands and knees, and I do it with a pair of shears, and this takes me a whole morning. And as I've got heart failure, that wipes me out for the day. And the other reason I resent it is that because I prioritise the allotment, it means I've got less time for this back garden here. And like this lawn, whenever I need to do stuff in the back garden, this lawn is always one of the major priorities or the first things that need being done. And I resent using my time on this, so quite often I'll put it off. So let's start walking around. This side down here, I could actually clear. I've done it several times in the past. I can actually clear this and dig it all in one day. That fence didn't used to be here. The previous owner put it in. So it used to be like down there, that style of fence. The thing is, once you do that fence, that's blocking my afternoon sun, and it's blocking their morning sun. And if you've got a fence like that around your garden, it's like instead of having a garden, you've got a prison yard with 3 high walls surrounding it. That Dalek's going to get moved towards the end there. I was going to be washing all these up a few weeks ago, because what my technique is I fill the wheelbarrow with warm water and washing up liquid, and spend a nice afternoon washing all the pots up. But I never actually got round to it a few weeks ago, so they've actually mostly stayed there through 2 storms, which has surprised me a bit. I'd have thought more of them would have flown around the place. So I'll need to pick those up quite soon. That's just like a 5-minute job. That's quite often in the polytunnel. So I put seed trays on there to keep them above the ground, to protect them from slugs. Or sometimes that's over here doing the same thing in the summer. I hate these. Kind of look at that. So in the morning, that stops that getting sun, and then that tree stops it getting sun in the afternoon. But I can't do anything about cutting down that, particularly as I'm on good terms with the neighbours. That before, well, you see how bad that is now. That's what I used to use as my potting table. I do actually have a seat to sit down on. But this mess here, normally when people show mess, it's mess that other people have created. But all of this is I can claim proud to say that this is all my mess. So I basically stopped gardening this year. and this is what happened. There have been like 3 or 4 times in the past that this garden's looked quite magnificent, but this year wasn't one of them. So I dug a trench here. I never filled it up, and then some animal dug a tunnel here, and I was scared that was going to be rats, but there's also another tunnel around the other side, so I don't know whether it's going straight through or whether they've got a back entrance and a front entrance. So that's one thing I need to dig and see whether there's any rats in there, because I can't work out what else it would be. It could be, you know, what are the other options? You've got squirrels or foxes. Right, I'll show you, like, this here. So this all got abandoned, this polytunnel, during the summer. I just stopped gardening, so excuse the mess. But these concrete blocks here, that's my contribution towards polytunnel design. I don't actually know what they're called, but they're used to stand temporary fences up in. So like they use the holes or whatever to stand things up in, and what it does here with the polytunnel, it keeps it down. It stops the frame from flying away. The cover I've got in that dilapidated shed that people store rubbish in, so I need to put that back in there. So if you're a company that's had one of these concrete things go missing in the last couple of years, that was like superfluous to requirements, it may have been me who took it. I've got a minor repair that needs doing here. Oh, that's right, that's good. We've still got the screw here, so I just need to find the nut, and then I can reattach that. I do actually have some nuts in my bedroom, so I might use one of those rather than looking on the ground for one. One of the first things I'll be doing when I start working again in the background, because I'm going to finish the allotment first, is I've been granted permission to clear all those brambles in the next door garden. So once I do that, it'll make it easier to clear them in my garden as well. The number of red cups I've got here gives an indication of how many tomato plants I've grown in the past, and that's my current potting table. I do actually have a chair that's in the shed at the moment, being protected. I've got 2 options with the weed cover sheet. I can either leave it down there or take it up. One thing I forgot to say about my contribution to polytunnel design is that it means that with the cover I have to cut through it and sort of like wrap it round, and then maybe use tape to tape it up, so it's not right, so little animals can probably come in through the corners, and things like the wind as well. One thing I was interested in